Okay, so the news surrounding Expedition 33 has been absolutely insane. From IGN giving it a 9, even though it dropped in Game Pass day 1? This is unheard of. So I have to find out more. So we're going to watch Legendary Drops, and I'll let you know what I think. All right, here we go. All right.
1 million copies in 3 days. You know there is a boardroom full of executives that are sitting around scratching their head, screaming for their secretary to explain this to them in Fortnite terms. Reverence. That was the first word that came to mind when I sat down to make this video. Expedition 33 is breathtaking. It is a game that commands respect on every single level and deserves every bit of praise that it's gotten. It is one of the best examples of what today's developers are capable of, what games are capable of, how far they can reach, the value that they can deliver, how they can be far more than simple entertainment. But at the same time, it is incredibly frustrating because it paints a very clear contrast between it and how shallow and utterly vapid the rest of this industry has become.
Yes!
Games like Expedition 33 are what we deserve, but are rarely given. And it's not for a lack of talent. We know that because these are former Ubisoft developers making a game that we would never see from Ubisoft or any major publisher for that matter. Today, I want to talk about the explosive popularity of Expedition 33, how it's already broken records, my experience playing it, and, man, you know, it really must burn to be absolutely destroyed by the very people you let go. But before that, if you want to be a part of the video game revolution and make games for yourself, you can use today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by longtime friend of the channel, Boot.dev, a back-end web development platform that does one thing most coding courses don't. Actually keeps you engaged. If you've ever tried learning how to code and bounced off of a wall of boring videos or tutorial hell, you'll get why this is different. Boot.dev feels more like an RPG than a textbook. You got quests, XP, levels, boss battles, and even a global leaderboard. You'll learn Python and Go by building real projects, not just watching somebody else type. And if you're stuck, there's a Discord community and an AI bear wizard that's named Boots that's going to help you be able to figure out what you want without spoon feeding it to you. This entire program is designed to help you prep for back-end roles where you can earn up to $100,000 a year and even get some remote work, but without the get-rich-quick nonsense that you see a lot of the times. You can get access to literally all of the content on Boot.dev in guest mode, and if you go all in, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. So go to Boot.dev and use code LegendaryDrops to get 25% off your first year. If you're serious about becoming a developer, this is the place to start. Expedition 33 was one of my most anticipated games since its reveal. The turn-based combat looked like a true iteration or evolution on JRPGs that we've seen over the years. The idea of using quick-time events, active dodge, and pairing mechanics in combat seemed like a fresh idea. It had an all-star cast of voice actors. The premise of the game's story, where a celestial paintress is painting a descending number, killing all those older than the age of 33, was genuinely different, and the art style was captivating. Actually, back at the start of last month, I had posted on Twitter saying, I don't know why, but I have an oddly good feeling about Expedition 33. My favorite games are the ones that are coming out of left field from unheard of and unproven developers. I'm genuinely hoping it's one of them. Little did I know just how right I would be. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 launched to 60,000 concurrent players on Steam, selling over 500,000 copies in its first 24 hours. It had then surpassed that days later, doubling that number to 121,000 concurrent players on Steam and reaching 1 million copies sold in just 3 days. Hell, the game sold out of physical copies on Amazon and in stores in Australia. For a narrative-driven turn-based RPG that isn't named Persona, coming from a studio that's releasing its very first game, this is nigh unheard of, my friends. The game released to near universal praise among critics. It is simply too good for anybody to ignore, reaching a 91 on OpenCritic with a 100% player rating and a 92 on Metacritic with a 9.7 player rating. The game is so popular among players that it now holds a world record. Paul Tossi of Forbes wrote an article titled, "Players just ensured Clair Obscur Expedition 33's record can't be touched." He writes, I wrote an article over the weekend that confirmed that Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the RPG from first-time developer Sandfall, was in fact the highest user-scored game in Metacritic history. Now, players have caught wind of that. Some pushed back on this, saying it was early and this is just based on a few hundred reviews playing it super early. Well, people have been playing it over the course of the weekend, and there are now 600% more reviews in, up to 3,300, and the score has actually increased to a 9.7 out of 10 from a 9.6 previously. I've said that it's possible that scores fall in time, but what has happened here cemented Expedition 33's title as one of the highest scored games on this platform. Nothing else is close or will get close anytime soon. These thousands of reviews mean that of the top 100 plus best scored games on Metacritic's list, it's already passed many of them in total scores. And again, it's not a close competition. I've only been able to find one 9.3 at all, The Witcher 3's Blood and Wine DLC. Every other historic game that you have heard of is somewhere between an 8.9 and 9.2. Yes, that one. Yes, that one too. Check any one you like. This, my friends, is a flawless victory. Plain and simple. It's the kind of game that should go on to sell tens of millions of copies. Honestly, it's the game that you hope does. When you play it, you want everybody else to play it. And if it doesn't become the most popular game ever, it feels like it's a slight against you. Because it is. We deserve this game. We deserve more games like this. And Sandfall, with a team of a mere 30 ex-Ubisoft developers, deserves all of its recognition, success, and more. While playing Expedition 33, I had an epiphany of sorts. I came to the conclusion that the games industry is desperately clinging to a coloring book, tracing over the same tired outlines, filling in old shapes with new colors, terrified to stray beyond what has already been done. Almost nobody dares to treat games like a blank canvas, to make a mess, to break the frame, to let their imagination spill out and ruin the floor. But where the rest of the industry is coloring inside the lines, Expedition 33 tears the canvas off the wall, smears their hands in the paint, and throws themselves into their work. They let it bleed, they let it burn, they let it scream. They didn't just make a game, they made something alive. I almost don't even know where to even start describing this game or its genius. While Expedition 33 definitely takes inspiration from a wide variety of games, that's as far as it goes. It's inspiration with iteration, never imitation. You catch flashes of the UI taking cues from Persona, the combat adapting ideas from Legend of Dragoon or Final Fantasy VIII, the mournful, hopeless world whispering shades of Final Fantasy X, and the monster design tipping its hat to Dark Souls. But everything here is unmistakably its own. Right out of the gate, the game grips you with its music, its atmosphere, its art, and its writing, a world wrapped in quiet desperation. Most of us come into Expedition 33 already knowing the premise, a world shattered by a calamity, a celestial paintress that is marking humanity's final days by painting a number, and a desperate expedition that is trying to break the cycle. But Sandfall didn't just build a premise, they made it a feeling, and they drive it into you. You walk the streets of Lumiere, you talk to its people, you are given control of somebody heading to their gommage, a final farewell. Shot. You walk them down to the pier, watching as the paintress calls their number and paints their death into this world. You hear the voices of the townspeople, see the hollowness in their eyes, feel the ache in their words. And for the first time in a long time, a game makes you feel the stakes, how important yet futile your journey feels, how small and desperate these lives are, how this world is quietly fading before your eyes. You can feel this beautiful, aching world. What impressed me most about Expedition 33 is its revival of subtlety and nuance in an industry that has been obsessed with appealing to the widest audience possible, executives chasing infinite growth. Games have been stripped of any ambiguity. Modern storytelling assumes that the player must be handheld through every story beat, every emotion, every idea in case they might get confused and stop buying their games. But Sandfall respects its audience. They don't feel like they need to spell everything out. They don't insult you with constant on-the-nose exposition. They let you live in their world, absorb its meaning, piece together its mysteries. Characters reveal themselves through actions and subtext rather than bullet points. And nothing is predictable. I have been floored countless times by this game's narrative, hands in the air yelling absolute cinema. There is so little revealed, yet so much at the exact same time. You are given the space to truly know these characters, but not a single one of them really fits cleanly into an archetype. They are complex, contradictory, messy, human in a way that very few games ever achieve. Every member of your party carries the same trauma of the world that they're living in, but they wear it differently. And the moment that you think you have somebody figured out, the page turns and you see a side of them that you hadn't before. And it's all delivered by an all-star voice cast. You wander a world littered with the remnants of the expeditions that came before you, thousands of bodies marking your path. For those who come after, we continue. It's not just a slogan of this world, it's a lived, brutal truth. You're constantly reminded about how important your mission is and how hopeless it all feels. Twists, turns, cliffhangers. The game dares you to keep going, dares you to understand more. Even reality itself bends as black and white dream sequences cut through the world, boxed by vertical pillar box lines, stripping away any comfort, any warmth. These moments don't just feel different, they feel wrong, like they exist outside of time itself, and that deliberate discomfort sinks into you. The soundscape and the world design are utterly breathtaking. I cannot count how many times I have stopped dead in my tracks, panned the camera around slowly, and just stared, because the scene before me looked like it was a paint.
30 devs. No more, no less.
Painting that deserved to be hung in a gallery. Expedition 33 is built around music and art at every single level, from skill names to weapons to the names of towns themselves. It's a world that doesn't push you forward. It begs you to stop, to look, to feel, to listen. It's visibly distinct. It's audibly distinct, yet eerily familiar at the exact same time. And that mixture of mystery and recognition is exactly what keeps you rooted in place. Well, at least until the gameplay rips you off your feet. As a fan of turn-based games, 3 of my favorite games of all time are Grandia 2, Final Fantasy VIII, and Legend of Dragoon. I have never seen a game revolutionize turn-based combat like this before. I'll be honest, I was afraid. When I heard about the dodge, parry, and quick time event mechanics, I thought it was just going to be gimmicks. But they're not gimmicks. They're the solution. Turn-based combat has struggled to stay relevant in the modern age. Part of that is due to executives not wanting to fund these type of games, but the other part of it is that players today, including myself, just don't really have the patience like we once did. And while some games have been successful and people obviously still want it, there needs to be an evolution. That's why we've seen auto battle systems dominate the genre, reducing what used to be thoughtful, tactical gameplay into passive, gacha-like gameplay loops. Expedition 33 refuses to let that happen. Instead, it rewards players for staying engaged. Dodging at the right time will grant you action points or other buffs depending on the pictos that you have. Parrying will boost your damage. Hitting time prompts will amplify your attacks. These mechanics don't feel bolted on. They feel natural, inevitable, earned. It's the evolution of turn-based combat that I've been waiting for since Final Fantasy VIII, a true, seamless fusion of action and strategy that keeps you locked in every second without betraying the roots of this genre. Expedition 33 isn't just a great game. I think it's a quiet rebellion, a reminder of everything that this industry could be and everything it has chosen not to be.
Not so quiet anymore.
That we just need someone, somewhere to care enough to create something real, something beautiful, something that dares to reach beyond the safe, dead outlines of what's already been done before. One of the things that really stood out to me and the game isn't getting enough appreciation for is its return to unique characters. It's something that we used to have in a lot of JRPGs, but a lot of these games have kind of gotten away from it, made it where all these characters can kind of just, they're just Lego sets essentially. You can build them however you want and they all can have the exact same skills. But each character in Expedition 33 is remarkably unique from the next one. Luna has her elemental stains, Mael has her stances, CL has a mix of both of them, and then all of these characters can work dynamically with one another to set up one another for different attacks and combos and things like that. There's a lot of genius in that. But we've been deprived of that over the last few years because, well, a lot of these companies just don't trust the player. I've been talking about it recently because I saw somebody post, they made a comparison between Skyrim and Oblivion. They showed about how much content had been removed from Oblivion to Skyrim. A lot of customization, a lot of depth, and the reason why is because it's all about accessibility. These studios, these publishers, they see that as a way for them to be able to reach wider audiences. They, instead of wanting to add value or do anything unique, they instead want to treat their audience like they drank half a can of paint thinner when they were a kid. So we see that in the writing, in the world design, and it's all watered down towards that goal. Expedition 33 subverts that, along with a lot of other developers I've seen recently as well. But while playing this game, I get this overwhelming feeling of respect. Respect for the players, respect for themselves as developers, for the medium, for the game, and much of that respect has been lost within this industry. And that's why players are upset. That's why these games feel hollow in the end, because you have to respect all of it. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yep.
Expedition 33 feels like a miracle at this point in this industry, not a product.
Miracle.
And it's a work of art. It's a bleeding, breathing work of art, a testament to what games can actually be. And at the same time, like I had said before, it's exposing just how little we're given from the rest of the industry.
Exposed.
I noticed that a lot of game developers and a lot of studios reached out to Sandfall to congratulate them on the success of Expedition 33. I did not see Ubisoft, though. Maybe that's because they're under new management. When I sit back and think about it, I just genuinely don't think this is the kind of game that we would see the industry even dare to try to make anymore. You have a dark, emotionally charged story that doesn't lean into forced humor to be able to soften its blows. It's not like Dragon Age the Veilguard, where you're going to fight a dragon, one of the characters starts talking about a book they like, and Tosh intervenes to tell them that the book is probably about sex, doubling down again to say, I bet it's about sex. Wow. So funny. Genius writing. Really? Or maybe how about that one time where you go to the infested docks and all the people are dead and one of the characters chimes in like it's a Scooby-Doo investigation saying, it's quiet. Too quiet. Mature rated game, by the way. When Expedition 33 uses humor, it's well delivered and with nuance. I remember there was a scene where I was reuniting with CL. Gustav prepares to trauma dump over what happened at the beach. They zoom in on his face. The tone shifts. Dramatic music starts playing, and one of the other characters turns and essentially says, not now, Gustav, and the music cuts out. It's unexpected but well-delivered comedy that makes sense for the characters, the world, and the situation. I mean, we have conventionally attractive characters in 2025 without a hint of irony, cynicism, or commentary around it. I mean, I think that Luna's proof that they have a feet guy on their team, but outside of that, it feels so vindicating to have exactly what players have been asking for. Aesthetically pleasing, cool-looking characters that are tastefully presented. This is all people have been asking for, yet game developers and the media have taken it out of context, saying that we are asking for strippers. No. Well, I mean, sometimes, but not all of the time. We have a narrative without forced real-world allegory stapled onto it, without painful exposition, dumping the entire plot and every character's feelings, trauma, and identity into your lap because they think that you're too stupid to figure it out. We have stakes, mystery, gravity, and tragedy all left for players to sort out on their own as the story unfolds. Holy shit. You know, let's go ahead and make it a turn-based, Japanese-inspired RPG, the remnants of the genre that have been lost to the passage of time and the vision of C-suite executives that don't believe that it can make money anymore and that players don't even want it, a genre that has essentially been on life support outside of the Atlas games, Octopath Traveler, Atelier series, and a couple of others. Finally, let's tie a bow on the entire thing, make the game with just over 30 developers in under 5 years, and sell it for $50. No, wait, scratch that. Let's put it on sale for 10% off before the game is even released and during its launch week to make sure that it's a fair price point for players, a low barrier to entry, and give those players the opportunity to take a chance instead of feeling like they need to make an investment to play their game. By every modern AAA standard, this game should not exist. And yet here it is, standing taller, reaching farther, hitting harder than almost anything that these AAA studios and publishers have produced. It's refreshing, but more than that, it's enraging because it shows just how low the bar has been set by the people that are supposed to be leading this industry. They keep telling themselves the same lie, not only to themselves, but to us as well, that the only way for them to succeed is to play it safe, that bold ideas are too dangerous, that nuance is confusing, that the audience needs to be handheld, babied, spoon-fed every emotion, every plot point, every mechanic, because they are too stupid to figure it out on their own. But this is never about protecting the players. This is about protecting their profits. It's about control. It's about squeezing margins, about turning games into lifeless, frictionless products that can be stamped out, sold, patched, updated, and forgotten. And in doing so, they have crippled themselves. That's what makes what Sandfall has done that much more satisfying. A studio of 33 developers, mostly Ubisoft refugees, who built Expedition 33 on a budget of likely under $50 million in under 5 years, have absolutely smoked Assassin's Creed Shadows on Steam, while being a game that was given away for free on Game Pass, the biggest subscription service in this industry, and they still outperformed it. It's beautiful. It's justice. Broche, Sandfall CEO and creative director, didn't leave Ubisoft because he couldn't cut it. He left because anyone with any real ambition, anyone who gives a damn, eventually realizes that you cannot create anything real inside of a machine that only knows how to recycle itself. What would he have done if he stayed? Slapped on another Assassin's Creed DLC, sell some gun skins for Rainbow Six Siege? Maybe, if he was really lucky, he could have gotten assigned to Ubisoft's NFT strategy game. Wouldn't that have been exciting? Expedition 33 would have been strangled the second it was pitched. Too risky, too slow, too difficult to monetize. Ubisoft would have never made a game like this. And here's the sick part. I already know what's coming next. History is going to repeat itself like it always does. A small studio does something extraordinary. Players fall in love with it. In response to that, these publishers start staring at spreadsheets, baffled by the game's success, try to imitate it. They copy the aesthetics. They miss the soul. They throw $300 million at a knockoff and then cry on their earnings call about how players, their expectations have changed. Did you guys know that they only started out with 8 developers back in 2021? In an old interview that I had found, Broach was talking about how they only had 8 people and they were hoping to reach 15. That was the dream. You can still find their early art from back then. Rough, imperfect, they had nothing. And in under 4 years, that scrappy team that then grew up to over 30 developers delivered Expedition 33, a game that looks and feels like it belongs with the biggest and most expensive productions in the world.
This is what passion looks like, people.
Meanwhile, we have the entire industry that has been lighting billions of dollars on fire and is still somehow making worse games. Sandfall did what the AAA industry insists is impossible. They built a masterpiece. They didn't spend $400 million to make it. They didn't need some bloated marketing campaign. They didn't need 500 people. They didn't even need to sell it for $70. And it worked. Because when you build something with love, with focus, with intent, players notice. We can feel it. Meanwhile, the AAA industry is still crying about ballooning development costs, pretending that they don't know why they're drowning, creating a constant state of entropy in which they are the ones that are increasing costs while players are being demanded to follow their poor business decisions. Nobody told you to staff 800 people to make the next Fortnite. Nobody told you to waste $400 million on another cinematic action RPG. Nobody said that you couldn't try making something new or something fresh. Nobody said you have to keep chasing somebody else's success rather than their ambition. Nobody forced you to bolt on battle passes, shop tabs, microtransactions, and deluxe editions onto every single thing that you release. You did that. You chose that. When I see studios like Sandfall, small, lean, and relentless, deliver something as bold and as unforgettable as Expedition 33, it makes one thing painfully clear. The titans of this industry aren't untouchable anymore. They're bloated, slow, and creatively paralyzed. They have built these massive infrastructures filled with redundant management layers, bloated headcounts, and endless committees, and the end result is a process that is so convoluted that making anything truly original or valuable becomes almost impossible.
In other words, Goliath beat David.
The games take too long to make, cost too much, and play it far too safe. At this scale, they can't afford to take risks. They can't afford failure. And when you can't afford failure, you're not experimenting anymore. You stop pushing boundaries. You stop creating. You start chasing, copying, playing defense. And eventually, you build a studio that has all the money in the world, but doesn't have any soul left to build anything. I genuinely think that this industry has just grown past the need for these monolithic publishers and developers. What used to be an advantage, size, stability, brand power, is now the very thing that's holding these guys back. The future isn't being shaped by these corporate giants anymore with these 1,000-person development teams and millions, hundreds of millions of dollar marketing campaigns. It's being built by studios that can still move quickly. They can take creative risks that don't need to pass every idea through 6 layers of executive sign-off just to be able to get a change to a character's dialogue. And I think that's the shift that we're starting to see with a lot of these closures and a lot of these layoffs. It's not just a collapse, but a reformation of sorts. These mass layoffs, as awful as they are for the people that are involved, it's also a turning point because when those studios implode, they don't just disappear, they scatter, they break apart, and what's left behind is raw talent, developers that still want to make something meaningful, who still have ideas that they want to bring to life. Expedition 33 is what happens when those people finally get a chance. We are entering into a new phase for this industry, not because the major players planned for it, but because they couldn't stop it from happening. They failed to value their own developers. They failed to respect their audiences. They failed to protect the creative spark that built the industry. And now, one way or another, they're the ones that are getting left behind. And frankly, it couldn't happen to a better person. I found a couple of interviews from the CEO where he was talking about how essentially the AAA structure is so convoluted and creatively suffocating that it's really difficult to be able to get anything done. But in one of his interviews, he was talking about how much of a challenge it is to be able to go indie in the first place, because a lot of people have to take on a lot of different roles when you're as small as they are. You have a lot of people that become generalists rather than specialists because you just don't have access to that kind of talent, or at least that much talent. But in that, you become creatively focused. The vision stays intact. It's very clear because it's only being handled by just a handful of people. And in that, creativity can thrive and the budget stays low. Those things are really important. So whatever you dream of whatever the game is supposed to be, stays clear the entire time because you're not having to go through 500 people to be able to make something. It's really difficult when one person has an idea and has to communicate it to 500 people instead of 8 or 30, right? These AAA publishers have tied themselves to copy-paste IP, and they've continued to grow larger and larger in scale year over year, and it's all been for nothing because they keep raising the floor without raising the ceiling, and eventually they're just going to get crushed. That's why we're seeing a lot of the issues that we see today. I can't imagine it feels great to worry about layoffs and studio closures and earnings calls while you're watching indie developers run circles around you, free of expectations, creatively free, being able to do whatever they want, free of any type of constraint, free of these insane budgets. Expedition 33 just got greenlit for its own movie, made by the same people that made the Sonic movie.
Wow.
Meanwhile, EA just laid off 400 people. A lot of barbs. Expedition 33 has so much heart. It really does. You can genuinely feel that these developers threw everything they had into this game. And seeing as this is their first game that they made, I cannot wait to see what these guys are going to do after. I haven't finished the game yet. I'm going to be getting to that after I finish this video. I think I need to take a break one of these weeks. Maybe not try to release 2 videos. Maybe just do 1 instead or something like that. But we get a lot of good games. We get some great ones. But every once in a while, we get one of those games that just knocks you off your seat. It just takes your breath away. And I've had a lot of breathless moments when I've been playing Expedition 33. And it's great to see these developers get the recognition that they deserve and also see their work rewarded. And I think they're going to continue to be rewarded, to be honest with you. We're going to be seeing them at the Game Awards. I'm going to tell you that right now. Probably even win Game of the Year. Unless Grand Theft Auto wins by default, which I could totally see this industry doing that, sadly. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Very possible.
If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, comment down below, share the video on social platforms. I see that stuff happen, and I see it in the analytics, and it's really cool that people do that. I don't even really ask for you guys to do that, but yeah, that's cool. It helps way more than I thought it would. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
Follow me on Twitch. Come hang out when I play games on the weekend. Outside of that, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Family.
That was
family.
okay. That was Mr. Legendary Drops, and that was a legendary drop. Outstanding video. I am going to jump on Expedition. Excuse me. I'm going to jump on Expedition 33 right now. In fact, I think I may stream it. More than likely, 100% going to stream it. So please check that out. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, Slip Space Games, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.